Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Enterprise Universe channel. Today, we're talking once more with Dr. James Stalker, and today we're going to discuss a little bit more about customers and then pivot into talking about people. So, Dr. Stalker, can you have any final comments about our previous conversation about customers before we move on to chatting about the people foundational concept?
That sounds great, Eamon. Appreciate the intro. So we talked about customers, how important customers are to an entrepreneur. Everybody knows that. But in light of the fundamentals that we laid out, the previous five, you look at that from a different lens. Essentially, that improves your ability to deal with customers. So three ideas that I want people to get from the customer discussion so far is you really need to understand their needs,
Right.
and have to guide them and not have a canned product and you push on to them. That's something the old way of doing it. I want people to forget about that and try to have the expertise and the layer of social understanding on top of the expertise, and then start doing or understanding the needs of the customers before you put solutions together. So that's the main point about that discussion. And then, of course, don't unhinge your customer from your marketing. Your marketing should never be without the customer needs. In other words, you got something and you have a canned product, you're using all kinds of media to get to them without actually understanding them. So I want people to stop unhinging people from marketing. That's another big point about the customer discussion. But in the process, to Eamon, one other thing that really helps the entrepreneur in all of this is it makes them a better person, simply because you're forcing yourself. Professionally, you have to put your best behavior when you are dealing with customers. So you're learning that behavior. If you're already a good person, you have interpersonal skills, that's great. You can hone them further. But if you are not, as an entrepreneur, it helps you hone those skills. So those are the three basic points everybody has to understand from our previous two video sessions, and then take that to the next fundamental, that's people. Okay.
Sounds great. And I think one of the things that's always central to your conversations we have is people, and the fact that there's a human on the other end of the transaction, and never forget that, I
It,
guess, is something you just keep coming back to over and over again.
it is the fundamental that we should never forget. At least we're not going to forget that within the enterprise universe. So when we're offering these fundamentals to other entrepreneurs, we're not really prescribing as to what they should do, but they have to define their own fundamentals of these 9 blocks and then build a business around it. And hopefully they will be centering toward the people, because all of my fundamentals are about people. If you look at
Yes.
purpose to all the way down to
Everything is about people. One of the things I was thinking about too, after our last conversation is, we keep on bringing up this metaphor of we're trying to discard these 19th century business ideas of, mass markets and pushing products, and really putting the uniqueness of the individual, both within the business and on the customer side, fully center of the business, is the fact that everybody's unique, and that we want to cater to the uniqueness both on the entrepreneur side and on the side of the customer. And you keep pushing that idea, and I think it's really central to kind of a new way of looking at a human-centric perspective on business.
it is absolutely true, Eamon. And also, you don't have to skimp on your profitability by doing this. Actually, you would be making just as much money, if not more, but you have a more satisfied customer, but you have a satisfied entrepreneur.
Yeah.
That's also important, because just making money is not going to make you happy. It's not going to make you whole. You really need to understand some of these other social dimensions. And that's what this is going to bring. I'm never going to say you don't have to make money. Everybody wants to make money, want to have a nice life. That's fine. That's all good. But achieving success like that without the purpose, without becoming a better person in the process, it's going to feel empty in the end. And that's one of the things I don't want business people to fall into that trap. So
And I
that's
think
really what this is all
there's a
about.
lot of that going on in the world where there seems to be an incompatibility between the career track and the personal track. And it's a really kind of a human tragedy there where people are feeling disconnected from themselves in their work life. And then they're somehow trying to compensate for that in their personal lives. It really, I think it drives a lot of mental challenges for us.
I see that a lot, Eamon. I come in contact with a lot of business people in my dealings, and they always talk about what the issues are, but they never talk about really the fundamental issues the blocks really define. They always talk about I don't have enough customers, I don't have enough revenue, I don't have the technology. It's all good. These are all problems every entrepreneur deals with, but there are more fundamental than that. The blocks really define for you. Once you have that, as I said in the early discussions we had, some of the stress level that you have as an entrepreneur that goes away simply because you know what your purpose is and you're working toward it. All of your hard work is not for naught. So you understand that that really reduces a lot of the stress. And everything I'm saying here, Eamon, tested by me, tested, experimented on myself. So these are not things that I learned somewhere or anything like that. No, these are actual tested methods and systems that I developed for myself, and I want to offer that to everyone else.
That's great. And as hard experiences, they were hard won experiences, I am sure. So you wanted to talk, we've now almost pivoted to what I think the primary object of today's conversation, which is people. Uh, what what more about people do we need to talk about like it feels like we've touched on a lot of aspects of people. What more do you want to talk about in the context of people, Dr. Stoker?
Well, Eamon, that's a great question. Why I separated out people from customers is this. Even though the enterprise universe has people-centric focus, but remember, customers are only a small segmentation of population that any entrepreneur comes in contact with in his or her own life, right? A whole life, you're talking about customers being a small percentage of that. You have spouses, kids, parents, grandparents, even your competitors. They're all people too. You have to be able to deal with them on a more humane basis, not the kind of stuff that we